everyone to the SnapCast podcast. This is episode 56.
I still need to juggle like 6 hands right at the very moment that the episode starts.
Well, we are your hosts, Brad O'Brien.
Cheers.
And Michael Cooley. How's it going, everyone? If this is your first time joining us, this is a Magic the Gathering podcast where we talk about magic and magic-related things. We're geared towards the casual Magic players with a very competitive interest in Magic finance.
I want to win in the money, Mike. I want
That's
to
right.
win in the money. And
That's right.
chances are I'm not doing that at a GP, especially right now. So,
Yeah. We really enjoy talking about that stuff here, man. We have a good eye on what's competitive and how competitive decks are doing. But our biggest concern, man, is we want to eventually get some money off these collectible cards we invest in.
I'll tell you what, anybody that's been holding on to a pile of dual lands after they dropped from the last spike, they're doing okay right now.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah, I was actually talking with somebody today, and I came to an interesting conclusion about Magic cards and their investment abilities or opportunities that you have with them, right?
Lay it on me.
Yeah, check this out. So if you invest in the stock market, right, you never really get anything tangible that you can enjoy and have an experience with.
It's true.
Right? But if you're putting your money in like reserved list Magic cards, let's say, or any type of Magic cards, it's like if you plan on getting something out of it later on, it's like one of those assets that you can enjoy and have a nice, fun experience with while they appreciate in value. It's kind of cool, man. Very worth the sacrifice of liquidity, I would say.
Yeah, and it is often said in Magic circles, but I think a lot of people that don't or that aren't as familiar with Magic don't realize, as far as hobbies go, even expensive hobbies, you don't usually get your money out at the end.
Yeah.
I can tell you, I mean, how many times have you gone to a yard sale and somebody's got 2 tennis rackets, one's got a broken string and a dog-chewed tennis ball over there from that summer where they tried to pick up tennis, and they spent $200 on rackets and skirts and all the crap to go play tennis for a year, and then they decided they weren't that into it.
Oh, yeah.
And it went, they're going to sell it for $2 at their yard sale next summer. Or golf clubs.
Yeah.
Like, golf clubs are another one you see all the time at flea markets and yard sales.
No one cares about them. But you go to like a lawn sale or a yard sale these days, and if there's Magic cards there, dude, you can almost guarantee somebody's going to fly by, check those out. Even if they don't play anymore, they're just like, it's sort of like Bitcoin. Everybody knows, like, when you say it, they're like, I know what that is. You could have some old dude, he's like, never played before, but he's like,
that's the Bitcoin.
I heard about them Magic cards. I heard those things were something there. I want to check them out. What you selling them for?
I have yet to find my holy grail, like, box of Magic cards over at Goodwill or even at a yard sale. My mother lives down in Rhode Island. She goes yard sailing 3 days a week in the summer, has once called me up and said, hey, I think I found some Magic cards.
Ooh.
They were Pokemon cards. I don't know anything about Pokemon. I am a one-trick pony.
Oh, that's too bad.
And so I was like, yeah, I don't know anything about those. And they looked beat up, like they were wet. They were probably damaged.
Yikes.
But then this last winter when Pokemon had a stupid resurgence, I was like, I wish I had taken those water-soaked damaged cards.
Yeah. What's the biggest deal you guys have ever got on a lawn sale with Magic cards? Let us know down in the comments. Let us know your big steals / grabs at these mom and pops types of events in the summertime. Let us know what you found. Biggest one, my buddy found a box of Magic cards that he bought for $10, and it had 2 volcanic islands. It had 12 demonic tutors and a whole bunch of other stuff. I stopped listening there. I was like, wow, yeah, okay, so you got your value. Yeah, you got your value, sir. That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good. But yeah, so speaking of cards and prices and money and reserve list cards, holy hell, have you guys seen it?
If he had those, I'm just going to guess they were revised volcanic islands.
Yeah, I think so.
If he were to sell those now and they were, Even in moderately played condition,
Oh my God.
they're going for over $600 on TCG Player right now.
Yeah, so ridiculous. So ridiculous. Yeah.
We talked about it a little bit last week.
We did. We dove right into this. We called this adding value to the listeners of this podcast right here. We called this spike far ahead of time, far before Heroes and Legends had to do an episode on the things that happened. You guys knew what was gonna happen right here. We called it. We said, hey, look, you guys are getting stimulus checks soon. And a lot of other people are getting them too. Get your dual lands now.
So here's a speculation question. Money where our mouths are. Biden has proposed finishing up that stimulus, topping it right off with another $1,400 payment.
Yep.
If we were to hear that was approved and goes through the Senate, do we think that these are going to shoot higher in 2 months?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. But first, what's going to happen is they're going to pull back. Like, I mean, it's just like any other asset. Like, when people have the money and when people have the disposable income, they'll go up in price. But as soon as that's gone, especially like in the event of a stimulus, it's gone pretty quick. So in that case, you probably want to wait for a pullback on these. I can almost guarantee they're going to drop a bit. And when they do, yeah, you might want to get ahead of the ball game on that, especially if we know it's going to be a thing.
I think I said this to you, and I've probably said this to maybe a couple of our listeners that I know in the real world. But one of my resolutions for this year, after January 1st, when I was thinking about what are things that I want to accomplish this year, most of them are the same bullshit ones that everybody gives. I would like to make life choices that extend my life rather than shorten it. I'd like to be a little bit more comfortable financially. And I'd like to own a set of the duels, at least a set of revised duels for my commander decks going forward. And so that's one of my goals for this year.
Yeah.
And seeing them spike like the month that I make them.
That sucks.
All right. I'm up to 3 now. If I can,
yeah.
And then I start looking around and I'm like, shit, I should have started at the top.
Yeah, well, I think that's for sure what you got to do. Like, I mean, the lesson learned, if the stimulus check goes through, get the underground sea. Like, you just got to do it. You just got to do it.
Pull the Band-Aid off, get the expensive one, then you'll feel real good about that.
I feel the same way. I feel the same way about Power 9. Like, I have the Lotus, which is great, but there was other really good ones where I'm like, oh, I'm gonna wait on that. Ancestral Recall, the on color Moxes. I was like, yeah, I never got them, and here you go. Like, Mox Jet up friggin' 80% this week. Like, get out of town. It's so unaffordable at this point. Like, that's what we were saying before, but it really is now. But speaking of reserve list cards and cool ones that have gone up in price, I have got to do a flashback in our SnapCast here. I've got to do it. Devoted listeners, do you remember an episode? We did a bonus episode, middle of the week. I was so fired up I had to call Brad about this card because it was like, this is a reserve list card. I can't believe it's only $1. Like, we got buy like 10 of them. Well, that card, if you guys remember it, we did a special episode on, about a 30-minute episode. We talked about Dystopia, right? And it's still pretty niche card. You know what I mean? Pretty niche. Oh, my God. Is that the real price right now?
No.
Okay. I was going to say, that's a little ridiculous.
Yeah,
But either way.
People are wild on TCG Player.
That card that we did a special episode on, right? It's when you think about this percentage wise, this is the penny stock right here, man. We bought it for $1 a share here in Dystopia, and now that card is worth about $3. So
market price $3.76.
Yep, $3.76, almost $4.
Yeah. Now there's a light plate copy here for $2, but it's almost $2 in shipping.
Right.
There's one for $3 with $1 in shipping.
Right.
One for $2 with $2 in shipping. So,
but this is what we were waiting on right here. Like, this is what we were saying. It's almost like some would argue that specking on reserved list cards is like shooting fish in a barrel. Well, what the hell are you complaining about? Like, it's easy.
Right.
Like this
If you're
stuff
not
is
worried
easy.
about-
A card is remotely playable and has some cool, value about it, and it's on the reserve list. Get it. Like we got this at $1. It's already at $4. Like it's probably not going to get much cheaper than that because it's on the reserve list. Like, you know what I mean? It's really weird. It's like that area of Magic the Gathering where prices don't act like they do in the rest of the game.
So if you're saying, even if we just take it at the simplest terms, we got it for $1 now, it's maybe $4.
Right.
That's a 300% increase.
That's huge.
Have you gotten that on any stock ever?
Barely ever. No, I don't think actually. I usually sell before that, right?
Yeah.
I usually sell before that. But with Magic cards, it just happens so quick. It's like, if I was going to pay $1 for this card, I'll pay $4 for it too.
Do you remember what we paid on Altar of Bones?
Oh my God, are you kidding me? Is that really? Yeah, we paid about $1.50 each.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's saying market price $11.62.
All right. Wow. So we knocked that one out of the park too. Wow. Another flashback. So this was, if you guys remember this, we also talked about this. I harped on it hard because you guys know me by now. I'm a big reserved list fan. I always, I'm hunting down these playable reserved list cards that are so underpriced. Altar of Bone is one of them. We talked about this before. I said pick them up if you can get them between $1.50 and $2. Just do it. There's a ton of them out there. Like you should have no problem getting them at $1.50, $2. Card's now worth says $9, $8.50 over here. Market price of it is $11.50, $11.62.
Yeah.
Like that's a 10x increase in your money right there. I don't care what you call it, whether you call it shooting fish in a barrel or not, dude. Like, that's where the gold mining is here in Magic the Gathering. Is like, that reserve list is huge. Troll down through it. Look at the cards, study them, know them.
That was like our 10th or somewhere between 10 and 20 episodes we talked about comparing different kinds of Magic cards to different type of stocks. And we talked about blue chip stocks that are just, they may not go up, but they're never going to go down. But over a long enough timeline, these things are just getting more and more rare.
Yeah.
And right now, people are dumping their free money, their stimulus checks into cards that they wouldn't otherwise be able to afford.
Yeah. And I mean, it wasn't like Altar of Bone was unaffordable, but it's like a high tide raises all ships. You know what I mean? A high tide raises all ships. And Altar of Bone, just so that we can, for anyone that didn't know what this was or didn't see that episode, it is actually a pretty sick card.
It's a tutor.
So it's a tutor card
for 2 mana.
Green and white, right?
Yeah.
Green, white. You can probably guess what it goes for, right? You go and search your library for a creature and put it in your hand. The only drawback is you have to sack a creature. But we're talking a reserve list tutor here. Like in Commander, where tutors are at a premium these days, and, sacrificing some token or something could be a very small price to pay.
Could be an upside.
I mean, it could be an upside, exactly.
You might want something in your graveyard.
Exactly. It could be an upside in a lot of ways too, and that's really next level in it. Like, and thinking about how to really abuse it. But yeah, I mean, just even on its face, having to sack something to go get something else. How many green-white techie decks are there out there in Commander that's exactly what they want to do? You know what I mean? So yeah, really cool. We called that one. We called Dystopia. On average there, that's about a 60-75% increase for those. That's pretty good, man. That's pretty good. But yeah, I would just say, tip of the week is if you haven't ever breezed over the reserve list, just go down through and look. Just be familiar with the cards, especially the ones that are cheaper, that do weird stuff. You know what I mean? That do just weird or even useful things.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Is it remotely playable? That's the bar.
Is it remotely playable?
If it's remotely playable, then a player might be interested in it. If it's not remotely playable, then only a collector is going to have interest.
Yeah.
And somebody that's a serious collector of old formats maybe already has all the cheap stuff.
Oh, yeah. I mean, there's some weird ones out there. I'm going to point a weird one out that I know was cheap. I never really talked about it on the cast because it's really weird. But check out Island Sanctuary really quickly.
And one thing that I want to... Was that on here or was that someplace else?
No, I think it's...
I just want to point out, so we're using Echo MTG again, and they have in this left-hand panel a handy price groups list. And so under price groups, they have a group specifically for reserved list cards, you can sort by which ones are declining in price and gaining in price.
Jesus, dude. Fast bonds are $80 now.
Yeah.
That was another one. I had picked those up. I'm not sure if we talked about this or not, but when they unrestricted it in Vintage,
yeah,
that is huge. If a reserved list card gets unrestricted in Vintage, the demand just went up by 3, right? By 3x, and the supply stayed the same. It is a very good indicator that the price of the card will go up. Took a while for it to do it, but yeah, I bought mine right away. Like, I bought another playset right away. I was just like, yeah, $10, whatever. Like,
one of the things that I like to do is switch this list over to just looking at straight dollar and going down into the where am I comfortable spending money.
That's a good way to look at it.
Hey, I might be comfortable spending $20. I might be comfortable spending between $10 and $20.
Yeah.
Is there Retribution of the Meek? I've heard of this card before. Is this a playable card?
Tell me that's not a good playable card. And that's $11.50.
I wonder what so there's a 3-mana Wrath. Jeez, they just printed one of those in Kaldheim.
Dude, they just Dusk to Dawn. Yeah. This is Dusk to Dawn, but slightly faster, right? Yeah. Like, it's slightly faster. It's a better Dawn side of it, right? But that's on the reserve list. They can't reprint that, and it's faster than Dusk to Dawn.
It's funny because Dalton is saying something that I think we said probably before he logged in. It's good to remember that now is a bad time to buy into the reserved list.
Agreed.
Yep,
agreed. Yeah,
we did talk about this earlier, that after the stimulus checks went out and people had all the free money to spend, there will be a decline after this. But we're also looking ahead to cards that might be playable in the future if we get the second wave of stimulus.
Right. Yeah, it's just like any other asset is kind of what we had alluded to, is that, like, when there's disposable income, when people got their stimulus checks here, they clearly spent some money on reserve list Magic cards. But when that one-time stimulus kind of dies off, there's gonna be a pullback, because now the people that wanted them bought them. It raised the price of the ones that weren't on the market. The ones that were left on the market were the expensive ones. Now that the price has gone up, you're going to see more of those come out of the woodwork. And, that would be just wait till it chills out a little bit, then buy back into it, just like any other asset.
Kawa says, I'll show you a pullback. I think that was a sex joke.
Jesus.
So what was the card? What was the card you were talking about?
So I think it's called Island Sanctuary. And I only bring this card up to just talk about weird shit on the reserve list. Yeah. So, reserve list card. This is just weird, right? Or no, this isn't the right one. This isn't the right one. I'm thinking of the wrong card. It's something. It is an enchantment for 2 though. Something
You're gonna
Sanctuary.
have to help me out.
God, something Sanctuary. Type in Sanctuary. See what pops up. Sanctuary.
Ana Sanctuary.
No, it's 2 mana. We'll find it out, dude. Yeah, who knows? Let's just breeze through the reserve list, because we could talk about that. Like,
yeah,
we'll even be able to, and I can promise you, we can find like another. Like, just pick a card randomly that's low on the reserve list and check it out. They often do really weird things that are playable in certain circumstances. Like Martyr's Song, I believe, or Martyr's something is very low in price, but very playable. It's like 2 mana, exile all white creatures. And for every white creature that's exiled this way, Martyr's Cry the Dark. Yep. Okay. So it was $2. I bought 40 of them. Good investment. I would say so. Is that really what? Is it?
Cool, you're supposed to tell me when you do these things.
Is that really the price of it right now? Holy shit. Well, okay. This used to be a lot cheaper. But yeah, like, it just does weird stuff. Just does really weird stuff. 2 mana, exiles all white creatures. And for each creature exiled this way, it's owner draws a card. So like Path to Exile's all white creatures just about. Like you don't get the land, but you get to draw a card.
Yeah,
you get some advantage out of it for 2 mana.
Okay, so they're not that high.
Okay. Yeah, but still $14 about.
Yeah, I mean, that's still a ridiculous return on your investment.
Yep.
And so, as much as we are saying that this is not necessarily a time to buy reserve list cards, it's certainly worth checking on what's moving, whether it's moving up or down, and if it's remotely playable.
Yeah. I mean, that would be if you're still looking to get in it. I would argue this: if you do find something that tickles your fancy on the reserve list as you're going down and sorting it on, like Brad had said, go down to the lowest price ones and just be familiar with what they do. Like one of them that I would suggest right now that I don't think has spiked to its full potential. It has gone up a little bit. Like I said, the high tide raises all ships. But Powder Keg. Like tell me this isn't a remotely playable card. Like this is like old school Ratchet Bomb. Like old school Ratchet Bomb right here. And it's on the reserve list. It's, it is effectively a Ratchet Bomb in, certain commander decks that might be looking for an extra copy of it. It's not as effective, I would say, but it gets the job done. So 2 mana Powder Keg at the beginning of your upkeep. You may put a fuse counter on it. And then tap, sack it, destroy each artifact and creature with converted mana cost equal to the number of fuse counters on Powder Keg. So right away, you can just dump it in, boom, crack it for 0 and blow up all
tokens,
artifact lands, tokens, like, you know what I mean? For 2 mana, just boom, blows them up. All 0-drop artifacts, all the Moxen. The more I think about this is like instantly playable right now, and it's only like $10. It says that it's increased in over 7 days 50%. This has been $10 for as long as I've known about the card. Like it might have dipped a little bit, and it's back to where it was. This is really good, man. Like it definitely meets the remotely playable reserve list card checkbox, right?
Well, and that 7-day change may just be part of the general spike that's going on right now. Did we even get that? So no, the YouTube character limit for an episode title actually hosed us because this episode was going to be titled Stimulus Check Spike the Reserve List.
Yep.
And Final Kaldheim Previews.
Yep.
But
yeah,
it's stuff worth noting. Obviously, this stuff is going up. At the same time, I'm not rushing to sell my dystopias.
No, I wouldn't be either. I mean, it's $3-4. I'm pumped that there has been more interest in them, right? That's what that small spike can tell you, is that more people have picked up an interest on this card. And it's sort of like a penny stock. If you buy a shit ton of a penny stock and nobody knows about it,
it draws attention to it.
Good luck selling it if you're the only person that has bought it and that has bought into it. But the more people that hear about it and they're like, oh, yeah, I can see the value here too. And they start buying it and it starts jumping up a little bit. And the volume of trading goes up. That is a good thing. And I think that's what we're seeing with Dystopia. It's just there's more people that are saying, oh, wow, like this is an interesting card.
You know what I think you have just convinced me that we ought to do?
What's that?
We ought to start our own TCG player type store. All right, listeners, don't steal my idea. Do whatever you want. I'm never going to do this. But actually offer limit buying. Like, hey, this card's at $200 right now. If it drops to 175, I'll buy 10.
Interesting.
If it goes up to 280, sell.
Interesting.
Right? Isn't that how limit buying works in the stock market?
Yeah, the difference there is it's like almost instantaneous that it happens. If you did something like that, you would have to have some sort of algorithm linked up with like eBay or Amazon or TCG Player or something.
Right, and then you get screwed when some asshole posts one for $700 and it changes the average.
Right, and then essentially But I guess the yours would still be posted at a certain price, so it wouldn't sell unless someone paid for that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, hey, not a bad idea.
Closed listings. But I just like that idea of saying, and I wonder, this might actually be a function on Echo MTG that I just don't pay for. Like, you can add cards to watch lists, but if you add them to a watch list, can you set a flag price?
Yeah.
No, that's just added to watch list. So, like,
yeah, it'd be interesting.
Powder Keg, it's up 51% right now. Could I put a flag on this so that when it got back down to $6, let me know, and then I'll buy it.
Right. Yeah, even just notifications would be cool. Like, hey,
Yeah.
by the way, this card that you told me to watch out for, dude, it's hit your target price. You might want to sell it.
And that's what I'm talking about. It's just target price.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool, man. Really cool. So, the homework for the week, if you haven't ever read down through the reserve list, check it out. Sort it by price and look at the cheaper ones and just be familiar with them. Because all of these nasty investments, I shouldn't say all of them, but a very good portion of nasty return on investments I've ever made in Magic the Gathering have to do with doing just that. Like going down through the reserve list and being like, yep, okay, this is really cheap and it's remotely playable. Let's buy a lot of them. Treat the site like the stock market. Yeah, pretty much. That's exactly like meeting all the comparisons that we're talking about here. Yeah, is like, having stop orders and having like, hey, notify me. Like,
there actually is an MTG Stocks website, and we have talked about this before on the cast. The thing that I always use this for is, again, they have good handy lists. And one of their handy lists is all-time high, all-time low. So looking at cards that are at an all-time high,
wow,
is kind of cool. The promo version of Yahenni, Undying Partisan. I have no idea why that's at an all-time high, other than it probably has never really been worth much.
Interesting.
But scrolling down to say Swan Song from Theros. It's at its highest it's ever been. Smothering Tithe.
Jesus.
This was not printed that long ago. Ravnica Allegiance. It's up to $30.
Wow. Yeah, that's a really cool function of this. Idyllic Tutor. It's weird. I feel like that's not the all-time. That's not
for the promo pack printing from Theros Beyond Death.
I see. So it's set specific. I was going to say, I remember a time Idyllic
Now,
Tutor
here's one
was
that's
like
funny.
$13.
January 14th, Riz the Exiled from Morningtide spiked to a high of $23.77. And then WotC said, hey, here are your Kaldheim Commander products, including a reprint of Riz the Exiled.
Man.
Woof.
Damn.
Judge promo Wheel of Fortune.
Oof. $1,700. Holy shit. This was a card that is on the reserve list, but they got that like little Judge promo before they adjusted that rule so that they could no longer print cards on the reserve list in any form or function ever. Yeah, that's interesting, dude. Fell War Stone is $6. God, that's so weird.
That's interesting. I wonder if it's just that printing.
Oh, yeah, that's weird.
Morphic Pool from Battle Bond. Now, this was just reprinted as an expedition.
No way. Yep.
You did get lucky on that timing, Dalton.
Yeah, perfect timing. Right at the edge of it, dude. Yeah.
I mean, I think I traded for mine, and mine is not near mint, but I traded for mine closer to 230. The last time it was sort of on the way up.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that's really good, man. Yeah, I mean, it's just a no-brainer. Like, it's like I said, call it shooting fish in a barrel, but I call it just smart in investing in Magic. Like, reserve list. You're almost protected against loss. Well, you remember when there was the big depression, the Great Depression of 2020? You remember we were kind of laughing because it was like, this depression has really affected the reserve list cards. It like didn't.
No,
like
not at all.
They had barely gone down. And if that doesn't hurt it.
Everything else is some form of speculation and risk versus reward. We talk about this now week over week. If you have a card that's worth more than $50 and it's not on the reserve list and you don't need it, Andy's here. Okay, the podcast can start.
We can begin.
But if a card's worth more than $50, it's not on the reserved list, and you're not playing it, get your $50.
Oh, yeah.
Because when I say everything else is speculation, I just saw another card on here, and I'm going to scroll down. Where was it?
I can tell you one that you had just put up online recently that you told me about. The Great Henge.
Great Henge, yeah.
Yeah.
That was at an all-time high recently.
$65-$70.
Yeah.
Oh, my God. Get rid of those.
Sell your Great Henges.
Yep.
I did say that
nailed
last
it.
week. Yeah. Yeah. Mine's on eBay right now if you want it.
Yep.
But no, we were talking about
80 now. Jesus Christ.
When they started to preview some equipment for Kaldheim, and I knew that the Colossus Hammer decks had started to pick up. They were Boros Colossus Hammer decks. And at the time I thought Magnetic Theft is a card that has only been printed once. If this Boros Hammer Time deck really kicks off, that card's going to jump. And then I thought, yeah, that card has only had one printing. They're printing a heavy equipment theme into Kaldheim. They very easily could reprint it.
Yep.
Sure enough, the card that actually spiked was Steel Shaper's Gift.
Oh, yeah.
And look at the spike on that card.
You're kidding me. Is that the real price of this card?
Yeah. I'm fortunate that I got one when it was on the way up.
Yeah. Wow.
But I got it like halfway on the way up.
Yeah. I cracked all mine as stupid uncommons from fifth dawn boosters.
This is the only printing of the card. And so thinking about the Hammer Time decks, this saw play in Boros Hammer, but the version of the deck that's actually seeing play, if we go to MTG Top 8 and look at Modern, I'm just going to grab a list. Bam, second place, Pure Steel Paladin. It's actually a black-white version. It's no longer running Boros, so they can't run Magnetic Theft. And this one has been hitting first place, second place, first and second place finishes.
Wow.
Week over week now.
Wow. So
this deck is real.
So is it time to get rid of Steel Shaper's Gift while this deck is in favor in an uncommon that is not on the reserve list and has one printing is worth $30?
If you're never going to play this deck and you've got them sitting around.
I've only got 2 of them and I randomly use them and I'm thinking about getting rid of them at $30, dude. That's kind of ridiculous.
I got one for the equipment EDH deck. And I'm not going to get rid of it at $30 because I can play it.
Yeah. But I mean, yeah, this deck runs 4 Stoneforge Mystics, 4 Steel Shaper's Gifts. It just wants to get an equipment in its hand. Like it just
Pure
wants
Steel
to go.
Paladin was just reprinted.
Yeah.
In Double Masters. And check this out. Boom.
Wow.
Just reprinted.
Yep.
And it has already doubled.
Yep. That's interesting. I would say, man, like if I'm being honest with myself, if you have extra Steel Shaper's Gifts, you might want to think about getting rid of them now. Like if you got Steel Shaper's Gifts kicking around and you're never using them, I would probably get rid of them. Like think about it this way: you can buy 3 powder kegs with one Steel Shaper's Gift right now, and Steel Shaper's Gift gets reprinted down to $5. Powder keg never going down much from 10. It just seems okay. Seems okay in my book. Sell those Steel Shaper's Gifts right now. A little high. Very niche. One printing. If you're not planning on playing this Pure Steel Paladin deck in Modern, chuck them. Get rid of them.
Chuck them.
Gone.
But it's just really interesting that, you know, thinking about what cards were the speculation a month ago, I didn't go all whole hog in on Magnetic Theft, but I bought a playset because I thought I might actually play this deck at some point. And of course, it was the other 1 mana spell that actually gets your win con that was only ever printed once. That was the one that spiked up.
Yeah, and you know that's the thing. We can look at this and we can get you in the right ballpark and thinking about the right things, right? And that's why I say I can pick a couple cards for you right now on the reserve list that are probably pretty low for how playable they are and you know their price. But we encourage you do your own research and like check this out. And knowing the things that you know about Magic and the mechanics and the weird decks that you've seen in your own experiences. Look at that reserved list. Look at your card collection of, much like Brad said, of cards that are not on the reserved list, that are above $50 or that are uncommon and worth $30. Like, think about it and say, okay, like now might be the time. Knowing what I know, you know what I mean, and knowing, especially in this case, Pure Steel Paladin, very niche deck. It's, you know, think about things like that, and I think that is how you kind of allow yourself to gain more wealth, if you will, in the Magic game. And it's literally playing with waves like that. Like, you know, trading cards when they're high, trading for them when they're low.
Standard Teamer ramp with Waking the Trolls.
What
is Waking the Trolls? So, Kawa, thank you for the pitch, because I was just about to say, now that we have a few people in the chat, we're going to switch over to talking about more of the Kaldheim previews. If there's a card that you all want to talk about, I'm in. Just let me know. Walking the Trolls. Is it a green card? Is it a multicolor card? Sounds like a multicolored card to
Waking
me.
the Trolls? I've heard of this before. I've seen it.
I'm guessing that it is one of these.
One of these weird
sagas.
Yep.
Just by the name.
Waking the Trolls right there.
Oh, man, ain't I good?
You were so smart. You were so smart. So, okay, let's talk about this. So
6 mana.
Cow is saying, so does it is the whole Genesis Ultimatum deck right now. So then smash this damn thing. All right, so basically you ramp up, and that's basically what Genesis Ultimatum is trying to do. You ramp up, and you cast Waking the Trolls. It's an enchantment saga, and when it comes in, destroy target land. So, okay, not terrible. 2, put target land card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. Okay. Okay. And 3, choose target opponent. If they control fewer lands than you, create a number of 4/4 green troll warrior creature tokens with trample equal to the difference.
Just what we needed were more ramp payoffs.
Wow, yeah, that's a huge payoff for ramp. So you ramp up, you get a ton of lands, and yeah, if I control more lands than you, I get that many trolls. That's pretty good. Pretty good.
Yeah. I mean, 6 mana land destruction isn't great, but if you can get this out on turn 4 and you're not dying, Lotus Cobra, yada yada, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
you're getting that land trigger.
I think that's the big thing, is busting this out early in Standard. If you can get this out turn 3 or 4, and you set your opponent back an entire land drop that early in the game, and then you ramp yourself up next turn, and then boom, you have like 3 or 4/4 trolls.
Yeah.
God, that's so bad.
I mean, what was the biggest fear with Agent of Treachery? Was not that it was going to steal your creature, but that it was going to steal your lands.
Right.
In the Agent of Treachery Winota mirrors, you were just trying to get ahead, steal one of their lands, and put them back from being able to cast a Winota.
Right. Yeah, that's all of what it was. Do you think this is sort of the same, where like you're just basically you're just trying to slam this out quickly, and by getting it out quickly and destroying a land, you just inherently win because they can never catch up at that point? What are you going to do against this?
Oh, Kyle was pointing out. So I do play the Teamer ramp deck. That's what I play in Standard when I'm not trying to finish my quests. And he was saying how that deck relies on Terror of the Peak so much.
Mm-hmm.
This is pretty awesome if you can have a bunch of 4/4 warrior tokens just pop into the battlefield after you have Terror of the Peaks in play.
Wow.
I like it. I like Waking the Trolls. I think a lot of these sagas are busted. We have a bunch of 3 mana sagas that actually are going to be playable.
Yeah, so this is something I don't think we really have gone over much about the spoilers, right? Is all of these sagas?
No, we haven't.
I don't think we've barely touched on these at all, man.
4 mana, create a 4/4 flying angel with vigilance. Next turn, your angels tap to destroy a creature with power less than that. 3, your angels get double strike. I don't like this one. I don't know why I read it.
What is this? Oh, the Ravens warning. Oh yeah, look at this. They printed a Teamer saga though. I wonder if they learned their lesson about these blue-green cards or if it's still broken. Let's go to this one. It's called the Bears of Litjara.
Why can I not? Oh, okay, down the bottom,
Yep.
right? Yeah, no, it's broken.
Oh yeah, busted, right?
Yeah.
Why would this be? It's teamer. It's not. Yeah, teamer colors, right? Green, blue. Yeah. No. Simic.
Simic.
Sorry.
Simic. Yeah, we're missing red.
Yep. Yeah, Simic colors, and yeah, of course it's broken. Simic colors, right? We got Uro in the last couple of years here. We've got so many just busted Simic cards. Why not throw another one in the mix, right? So this one, 3-mana enchantment. Comes into play. 1, put a 2/2 shapeshifter creature token with changeling. So it's all creature types. And then 2, any number of creatures you control, any number of shapeshifters you control, all have base power and toughness 4/4. And then 3, choose up to 1 target creature or planeswalker. Each creature with power of 4 or greater you control deals damage equal to its power to that permanent. Oh my gosh. So it destroys a permanent.
Oh yeah.
It gives you a dude. Potentially gives you a ton of 4/4s, or 2 or 3 4/4s.
Right. So if there's a changeling deck, which there very well may be.
Yeah, dude, with a party mechanic, there's gonna be.
This gives you a 2/2 for 3. That sucks. They have to kill it, or your whole board gets base power 4/4.
Right.
Pretty good.
And then if they don't kill that, you end up killing something of theirs, which is like, just think of all the value you get from that, man.
Hey, so Tech4 did message me about this, and we haven't. Last week we talked about Tybalt's Treachery, that red counterspell, and how exciting that can be with Cascade. We were talking about that Magic Aids deck.
This is even worse.
I don't know that we did explicitly say that we know that you can Cascade into this and cast the Planeswalker.
Yep.
Valky is the front-facing card, so when you Bloodbraid Elf, the card meets the criteria of that casting ability, then you cast the card and you flip it over and say, here's my 7-mana Planeswalker.
God, that's so ridiculous.
We talked about this card, but we didn't talk about that interaction. So
Yeah. So in case you didn't know, yeah, you can cascade into these double-sided cards and cast the back card through a cascade. So that Tybalt, officially now, Tybalt might be one of the best two-mana planeswalkers ever printed. Officially, because you can cast.
That's funny. You can cast him for 2.
It's rather meme worthy. It's rather meme worthy because he went down in history, I would say, as being one of the worst planeswalkers ever printed. At 2 mana, and now in a twist of irony here, you can cast Tybalt for 2 mana and have a 7-mana pretty nasty planeswalker on the board, like through some crazy interactions of Magic the Gathering. It's very, very interesting.
Son of a bitch. What did I do? I wanted to point out that there are other land destruction spells. So if you're playing that Waking the Trolls card, you might have some other ways to keep your opponent off land.
Oh my god. Smashing success, so you can smash a land and ramp yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me they're not going to. Tell me those.
You only get the ramp if it's an artifact.
Oh, I suppose. Yeah. Okay, I see what you mean. Yeah, but still, they lay out an artifact, you smash it and ramp yourself, or you reverse ramp yourself, I guess you could call it, by destroying their land. Yep, that's.
Yeah. You're just staying ahead.
Right. God, that's good.
Iska. Oh yeah. Iska is good. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's she's up at the top here.
The God of World Tree is pretty good too.
So Iska, Jorn, Kolvari, Battle Mammoth, Iska, God of the Tree. So this has the 5-color card on the back. I think we did talk about this last week.
Oh yeah, because you can Bloodbraid into this too.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, this guy's pretty good.
Yeah. Scrolling back down, what do we look at? Oh, that's funny. They have a Provoke the Trolls too.
It's sort of a trolley set here. The twist of irony I'm talking about. Maybe it was wrong choice of words. They're trying to troll us. 2-mana Tybalt.
Tell me what you think about this. It's the only one in the set.
Finn the Fangbearer. I love the name because of the alliteration and it's fun to say.
Finn the Fangbearer is fun to say.
Finn the Fangbearer, bruh. This is cool. And it actually does this. It actually does stuff. 2 mana, a green colorless, 1/3, Death Touch, so that's good. Whenever a creature you control with Death Touch deals combat damage to a player, that player gets 2 poison counters. You're shitting me, right?
So they have a card that introduces poison into this whole set.
Wow.
They also have a card in this set that says if you would put a counter on a player or a permanent, put twice that many.
Oh my god. Poison is back.
So you can play with Death Touch creatures, Finn, and Vorinclex. And in theory, with Vorinclex out, you only have to do 5 poison.
Yeah. God, that's it's interesting that they're bringing the concept of poison into standard. I find that very funny. This is a very trolly set in so many ways. And they're doing it in an interesting way. Like all your Death Touch dudes do 2 poison counters to your opponent on top of the regular damage that they do. Like, oh Jesus Christ! Brad in the studio here making things very unpleasant. He's
Sorry,
trolling
guys.
us.
I am trolling.
He's trolling me. He ain't trolling you guys.
Troll in the dungeon.
This ain't smell-o-vision. Gosh,
there is a
you better be
troll in my
thankful it ain't.
dungeon. Holy crap. What do I think about the elf theme in this set? I think that they're trying to break it. I think if you haven't gotten your stupid black-green elf land, you probably should. What's the one you picked a few months ago?
Oh, the black-green elf land.
Yeah.
It's not Elfheim Palace, is it?
No, I'm certain Dalton knows what it is.
Yeah, it's the one black-green.
Reveal an elf.
Reveal an elf. Gilt-Leaf Palace.
Gilt-Leaf Palace.
That's what it is.
Just got a reprint. Is cheap. This is going to bring so much attention to elves right now.
Yeah.
And some of them are quite good.
Yep. Really cool, man.
To go with that Death Touch, there is an elf that has an ultimate that gives all elves 2/2 and Death Touch.
God damn.
Is that
Really?
one of the Planeswalkers?
Really?
Oh, Elvish Warmaster. Cat,
Oof.
get away.
Oof.
There he is, Elvish Warmaster, who is a 2/2 for 2. Whenever one or more other elves enter the battlefield under your control, create another 1/1 elf. So it turns all of your elves into Dwynen's elites.
Jesus.
But this ability only triggers once each turn. So every time you play an elf, you get a free elf. 5 green. Elves get +2/+2 and Death Touch until end of turn.
So this just replaces all Dwynen elites in all modern decks, right? Like, just straight up replaces it. So it instantly has a home.
Does it count itself?
When one or more other elves enters the battle.
It says other.
Other
Okay.
elves, yep.
That was...
So I guess, I guess it doesn't. That'd be so busted. Jesus Christ, that'd be so busted. But still a collected company.
Oh, I just realized I'm not showing folks the computer screen. They probably
Yeah.
would
But
rather
still,
see that than our faces.
A collected company is still going to bring this into play along with something else that's going to trigger. Like, it's oftentimes, like, you know, how that happens and how it gets out of control. So
Something else that's interesting, and I just noticed it on this card, but I had seen it previously. There were complaints that the full art treatment of cards were just bad scale-ups of the art.
Mm-hmm.
I think WotC heard that criticism
Okay.
and said, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll do a bad scale-up of the art and then put the border around it.
Okay.
So now,
ooh.
you notice the size of the art
Yeah.
doesn't change. It's just whether or not the border is there.
That's weird. So they scaled it up first.
Yeah.
These
so
guys
that
getting lazy. You
artwork
ain't
goes to
fooling
the
nobody.
frame.
You ain't fooling nobody. That's insane. Yeah. So the fact that Elvish Warmaster or whatnot costs 7 mana to turn all your dudes into Death Touch dudes that can combo with that guy, I feel like it's 7 mana. You should be winning the game anyway.
Yeah. Well,
Like,
and in Modern or something else, all of your elves are tapping for mana.
right. Yeah. I mean, it's
but
interesting.
yes, at that point,
but it's just the fact that you can put that guy in some stupid deck. Have you ever played against Yuriko in Commander? Let me tell you some of the cards. I know. Brad brought me traded and got me a special version of this card just gifted it to me today because he's just the man. I love this guy. But if you've never played against Yuriko in Commander, just to refresh you who Yuriko is in Commander, right? It's the ninjutsu commander. Need I say more, right? 2 mana, you can just rip them into play. And whenever a ninja deals damage to your opponent, you reverse bob them, right? Like you
reverse bob
them. Like you reveal the top card of your library and they lose life equal to its mana cost. So pretty sweet. But those type of decks run a whole bunch of annoying little 1/1s just to get through, or just to stop you from swinging into them, or stop them from blocking your annoying creatures. And one way that they do that is they use tiny little creatures with Death Touch. And it was after playing that deck for the first time, I noticed Death Touch creatures are annoying as piss. Mm-hmm. Like you can't block them. They might as well just say unblockable if they're a 1/1 Death Touch. And now you have a payoff for these annoying creatures that are basically unblockable. They're going to trade with anything your opponent blocks. And now they can give your opponent poison counters.
And if they choose not to, you're giving them 2 poison counters.
That's nuts. So I love that. That's the mechanic I'm most excited about in that card. The Fang Bearer. Finn the Fang. Fee-fi-fo, Finn the Fang Bearer.
One other card that I think many of us knew were coming, but wasn't certain the flavor it was going to have, is some way or some reason that snow cards, specifically snow lands, could be a detriment. Because before the printing of Redain, God of the Worthy, there was no reason why you shouldn't just play snow lands.
Right. We had talked about that before, too. That, snow was one of the weird mechanics in Magic that they never really made a counter for.
Yeah. There's no downside to snow.
Yeah. We were making a joke. Why not just put snow-covered basic lands in every single deck you own? Because sometimes you get a bonus out of them. You know what I mean?
Right.
There's certain cards that you have to pay a snow color for them. Why not just chuck them in there? And if you ever decide to use them, you don't have to switch many cards. No drawback. But now there is.
Braden Kohler said to me that he was thinking about switching out his Goblins deck to non-snow lands, specifically for extra planar lands, because if everybody else is going to run snow basics,
oh my god, that's hilarious!
It's like the level up. I'm gonna put a non-snow mountain under my extra planar lens.
Scred decks used to do that. They used to run this card called Extra Planar Lens, and if you guys aren't familiar, it's really cool. 3-drop artifact. When it comes into play, search your library for a card or for a land card and imprint it on this. Right, all cards with that. All lands with that name tap for twice the mana. So they used to run snow-covered lands because nobody was running snow-covered lands. And the joke is, if everybody's going to be running snow-covered lands now, I'll just run basic mountains.
Yeah.
Just run basic mountains. That's how out of control it's getting. That's funny that that's a joke in the community. But I mean, it's true. There was no drawback before, but now there is.
So 2/3 for 3 flying vigilance. Not the worst white card I've ever seen.
Right.
Snow lands your opponent's control enter the battlefield tapped.
Interesting. Okay. And then it's 2021 now. Magic 2021. We got to have more text, right? There's got to be more text on this card.
Oh, there's a lot more text. There's a whole other side to this card. Non-creature spells your opponent's cast with converted mana cost 4 or greater cost 2 more to cast. So even though they tried to print a 3-mana Wrath in this set, it actually cost 5. So with this set, it would cost 6.
Yeah, I mean, it's very, 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 very interesting because it gets in front of that 4-drop board wipe curve. It's very interesting. So you're playing this on turn 3. And, even if you're behind, if they've taken their turn 3 and now it's your turn 3 and then it goes into their turn 4, right? And they went first, you're getting ahead of that board wipe curve, which is, I like that, man. I really like that.
Redain is a legendary creature god and does have a legendary artifact backside. She got that booty. And also, for those of you that are watching on YouTube, the alt art frames for these, the showcase frames, are bad ass.
Yeah, look at that, dude. You thought that tattoo art from last that we were showing off before was badass. Look at this shit.
Valkmira Protector's Shield is a 4-mana legendary artifact, 3 and a white. If a source an opponent controls would deal damage to you or a permanent you control, prevent 1 of that damage. Love that.
Can't get walking ballisted.
Can no longer die to Walking Ballista.
Yep. Pretty good.
Whenever you or another permanent you control becomes the target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter that spell or ability unless its controller pays 1.
Really can't die to Walking Ballista.
Really can't die to Walking Ballista. Did they print this as the hate card to Walking Ballista that didn't make it in time for the Pioneer banning?
Maybe. It's still a little expensive, though, if I'm being honest. Like, that Walking Ballista combo is so much more efficient than that. But, like, I mean, of course I have to talk shit about this card with so much text on it because it's 2021, right? But it's a little slow if you're trying to catch combos like that. Yeah. You know, especially, like, in Modern or something. It's a little slow. But it's still, in Commander, very valuable. In Standard, I think, very valuable. Has a lot of uses.
There's 2 more cards that I want to talk about because I know Cooley hasn't seen them.
Oh, man.
I'm saving the best for last. You guys in the chat have sucked. You haven't told us anything. Look at the art.
Oh.
Orvar, the All Form, 4 mana, 3 and a blue, legendary creature shapeshifter. Whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets 1 or more other permanents you control, create a token that's a copy of 1 of those permanents.
What? Okay, so whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, if it targets 1 or more other permanents you control, create a copy. Create a token that's a copy of 1 of those permanents. Okay.
So I'm not saying that Tech 4 is going to play this in Twiddle, but this card loves Twiddle.
Wow.
Untap target land, make a copy of that land.
Wow. It's a nice little win more for like Kiki Jiki style decks too. Like, you don't necessarily need to have a devastating combo on the board. You can just be like, yeah, I'm going to make a copy and then I'm going to make another copy of it. Or I'm going to, how about this one, right? Like, you slam this in some sort of modern blue-red deck that is just trying to cast that bolt out of the graveyard. What is it? That does 1 damage. And it pumps all your dudes that have
Lava
prowess. Dart? Right, yeah, Lava Dart, right? So you
target
prowess, you Lava Dart your own dude, make a copy of them, boom, Lava Dart again, like, hit your opponent, boost them both, like, fuck, maybe make another copy. I don't know, like, whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. And then just keep teeing off like that. It just gives you another out there. Really interesting. And it's a permanent copy of it, right? Like, it doesn't go away.
And then it has the Liliana of the Veil hate text, like what was the green card that I'm blanking on.
You're thinking of Obstinate Baloth.
Yeah. When a spell or ability an opponent controls causes you to discard this card, you can create a token that's a copy of target permanent.
So if someone Lilianas you with this card in your hand, you can create a copy of Liliana?
Yes, you can.
Oh, my God.
Target permanent.
My God.
This is going in every blue deck in EDH, I think.
Oh, for sure. Look at that. That is solid.
Now, obviously, in my Sakashima Vial Smasher deck, I have to have Sakashima out. I still don't own a Mirror Gallery.
God damn.
And this does say other permanents. So you can't target it, but there are things like somebody goes to remove another creature you have and you vapor snag it and make a copy.
Oh my God.
So you get your original back to your hand.
And vapor snag's still very valuable in a deck that's trying to tempo like that too.
Yeah.
Oh God.
So I'm totally horny for Orvar, the All Form, but that is not the card that is going to run standard this year. You ready for my pick on the card that's going to run standard this year?
I can't wait. It's a 1/1 for 1. It's got to be good. It's got to be good because it's a rare, and I see a whole bunch of text on it.
Ascendant Spirit. Go ahead, Mike. You read this one.
It's got the word Ascendant in it. Reminds me of Sarah Ascendant. All right, here it is. Ascendant Spirit, 1/1 for 1 blue. and it's got a whole bunch of snow abilities. You pay. Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh my god. This is a.
I'll give you a hint.
Figure of Destiny. Thank you for the hint. This is a Figure of Destiny in blue.
In blue.
In blue.
Because blue needed to be more aggressive.
It needed like more Delvers or something, right? So you pay 2 Snowlands, and Ascendant Spirit becomes a Spirit Warrior with base power and toughness 2/3. If you pay 3, he is a warrior. If he's a warrior, put a flying counter on it, and it becomes a Spirit Warrior Angel with base power and toughness 4/4. So it becomes a 4/4 flyer when you pay 3. And when you pay 4, put 2 1/1 counters on it, and it gains whenever he deals combat damage to a player, draw a card.
So there's 2 things that I want to point out here. This is not level up. This is not like Student of Warfare, because if you play this on turn 4, you can pay 3 into it, and it becomes the 4/4 flyer. You know what I mean? You don't have to pay 2, then pay 3, then pay 4.
Right.
You can pay whichever one you want. The other thing is the last ability stacks.
And it gains whenever this creature deals combat damage to a player, draw a card. Oh my god.
So you play it on turn 1. On turn 2, you pump it up, you swing for 2. Great. On turn 3, if nothing else has happened, you pump it up again.
Oh
you pay 3,
my
you swing
god.
for 4. On the next turn, you pay 4 into it. Okay. Now it's a 6/6 flyer with curiosity. The next turn, if you pay 4 again, it's an 8/8, draw 2 cards. They're dead. Because 8 plus 4 is 12, plus...
Wow. Wow.
This card will run standard. I have absolutely no doubt.
Well, the interesting thing about it is it stays ahead of the curve. Like, that's so weird to see to see something like this in blue that stays ahead of the curve. Like, bam, turn 1, it's a 1/1. Turn 2, it's a 2/3. Turn 3, it's a 4/4. Turn 4, it's a 6/6 that gains you card advantage.
And so if you say on turn 2, you swing for 2. On the next turn, you swing for 4 more, that's 6. On the next turn, you swing for 6 more, that's 12. If you pump it the last time, it becomes an 8/8. So this card, unobstructed,
bam, can just finish the game.
Can just finish the game.
Yep. I mean, I guess the drawback to it is you have to keep dumping your mana into it every turn, but you could theoretically, if you want to.
And it's instant.
And the thing about blue too, and this is why I think you're right about this, running standard, is you do not have to do this on your turn.
Nope.
You can play this on turn 1. Turn 2, you can just swing with it. Keep your mana open for a counter spell or something. If they don't do anything, they don't want to run anything into a counter spell, bam, pump them up to a 2/3. If they do, if they play something, counter it, and just keep plugging away.
One of the other things that I had pointed out earlier tonight while we were having dinner was Foretell as a mechanic is not sorcery speed, but it can only be done on your turn. So it's instant speed on your turn. So even on your turn, you play this on 1. On turn 2, you untap, you swing in for 1. They are thinking, okay, am I going to make this a 2/3 or whatever? They bolt it. It was going to die either way. You foretell. You can foretell in response. You can foretell in your end step. So I just think that you're right, that the beauty of this card is it lets you play with your mana open on your turn or their turn.
Right.
So on turn 2, you swing in with this. They're worried about getting hit for 2, but you foretell the counter spell.
Yeah.
And then on turn 3, you maybe you have another counter spell that you hold up, and at the end of that turn, you pump it to a 4/4.
And here's the thing, to bring it back full circle here, is it's not, unlike Figure of Destiny, it's not color specific, really.
It's right. So this is it's a single colored pip.
Yeah, it's just a snowland. You just have to pay it with a snowland.
So you play some sort of stupid Simic snow ramp deck.
Yep.
And you put all those lands into play.
Yep. It's pretty good, dude. I would agree. I think this is going to have a huge impact in Standard, for damn sure. Because Standard needed more broken Simic cards. It sure did. It didn't have enough. It hasn't had enough. And I'm so glad they're finally giving some broken attention to Simic.
Jason just corrected me. You do have to level it up. Yeah,
you do. Yeah, it's because it says
has
if
to
it
be
is
a warrior, if it is an angel.
Yeah, just like Figure of Destiny. I'm sorry, I must have missed that. But you do have to step it up. But like,
so you do have to do it in order. That's kind of a bummer, but it makes the most sense.
Yep.
I mean, so you're putting 9 mana into it to get a 6/6 flyer. It draws a card.
But you're doing it and allowing yourself a ton of options while doing it.
Yeah, and that's the thing. And with blue and being able to hold up a counter spell, and then they don't play anything you have to counter, and you pump it up on their end step.
Yeah. Yep. Very good. I like it.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
All right, Jason Clark, you get the gold. You get the gold star for today. I think Kaldheim is going to be...
Because he reads his cards. He reads his cards unlike you, Brad.
Oh, I like most things in life, I see only what I want to see. Kawa, the 1/1 is not a flyer.
No, unfortunately not.
That would be too
busted. That would be in every single
blue deck and format.
It'd be in every Eureka deck. It'd be in every deck. Every blue deck. That would just be it.
Holy cow.
Like it's so good.
The other thing that I think that people are, there's so much cool stuff in this set.
Yeah, there really is.
I think people are sleeping on Quakebringer. I think all you need to do is find a way to get value out of pitching this card, and then you play with Bone Crusher Giants.
What? Okay, so at the beginning of your update, so this guy's now you piqued my interest.
Start right from the top.
You piqued my interest. It's a 5/4 for 5, 2 red and 3 colorless. Your opponents can't gain life.
Yes.
At the beginning of your upkeep, this guy deals 2 damage to each opponent. This ability triggers only if he's on the battlefield or if he's in your graveyard and you control a giant. What? Yep. You're kidding me, dude.
So, think about in a format where I think we even have it in standard. There is a draw to discard 1.
Yeah, but I mean with shapeshifters and shit, they're all giants too.
They're all giants.
Yeah, they're all giants.
Right.
They're giant 1/1s sometimes.
So,
crazy.
Just having this guy in your yard dealing 2 damage a turn.
Cows's Teamer Giants will be a thing. Yup.
It stacks. So if you have 2 of these in your yard, it's 4 damage. If you have Torbran in play. So, I'm just saying.
Wow.
Expect to see Quakebringer.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's cool.
Can't gain life is something I want to make happen 95% of the time.
Especially in a red deck, right?
Yeah, 95% of the time it works every time.
I love it. This is cool, man. I'm pretty excited about this set. I think a lot of standard decks are going to get a bunch of boosts in here. And just most importantly, man, the power level of these cards is not disappointing here in 2021. Keeping it going.
I mean, we definitely joked about it last week, but when you look at the Mythic Spoiler page and just scroll up and down the page, every goddamn card is a wall of text.
Crazy.
It's you definitely have to have literacy skills for 2021 Magic. Unlike being a host of the SnapCast podcast, you actually have to have literacy skills.
You have to read your cards. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us. If you haven't already, hit that subscribe button. Help us out. Show us some love. We love you guys. Thanks for chilling with us here again this week. We really appreciate it. Highlight of our week, I would say.
Yeah. Love you guys. We really appreciate it.
Take care. Have a great weekend. See you soon.
Spread the podcast.
And not the plague.